As we gather this evening and we celebrate this first Sunday of Advent, it is the beginning for us in our tradition of the beginning of a new liturgical year. We'll move into different cycles of the readings for both weekday and Sunday liturgies. The wonderful season of Advent. The word itself means anticipation, watching, waiting, hoping. The church is very clear in her teachings to us about this season. It has two purposes. One of the purposes of the season of Advent is to help us prepare to remember and to celebrate the reality that Christ was born in time. That the Son of God and Son of Mary became a child, and he was born in a time, a place in history with its politics, its economics, its religion, and all the dynamics of human living. Christ was born in time. The second purpose of the season of Advent is to help us continue to prepare, remembering that Christ will come again. So the twofold purpose, to remember a true historical event, coupled with the fact of how we live our lives now in preparation for his return in time. All of the readings throughout these 4 weeks of Advent, underlying each of them in their own style, is the urgency and the reminder to us, as we heard the gospel just proclaimed, stay awake, be alert. You do not know when the Son of Man will return. And the season is about hope. It's about watching and waiting and longing for what is good. We hear that from the ancient prophet Isaiah, reminding us that at some point in time, God's mountain will indeed be the highest mountain. And we'll all move toward that. Paul is telling the church at Rome, be awake, be aware, pay attention, and do not live in the darkness of error and your shortcomings. Take off the deeds of darkness. It's almost like we're getting dressed to go somewhere. How many times have we gone into our closet or our cupboard and we pulled out a shirt or a blouse or a pair of slacks or something, and we go to put them on? I don't really like this. I'm going to wear something else today. So we put it back. But what are we putting on? We choose another shirt, another blouse. And St. Paul tells the church at Rome, put off your deeds of darkness, your faults, your shortcomings, the desires that come from within, and put on the light of Christ and his armor. Put it on and wear it with dignity. St. Matthew tells us very clearly, be prepared. 2 people out working in the field, 2 people working at the mill, one is taken, one is left. Be prepared. And this is not to scare us. It's not to make us feel embarrassed or shameful. It's to say to you and me, wake up. For you do not know that hour that your Lord will be coming. Don't let the thief break into your house. Now, most of us, when we go away for a few days or a vacation, we generally will stop the mail we may tell, somebody else, our neighbor, we're going to be gone. And that's sort of a protection. But we do not put a sign in our window and saying, we're gone now, you can break in at midnight. We don't do that because we're preparing to take care of ourselves, our property. And St. Matthew gives us that little story about if the man had known, he would have stayed awake. Now, I have a question for you. And I want you to show me by raising your hands, because this is congregational participation. How many of us have ever said, either before or after, we maybe went on a trip, or we went on a field trip, or we had a little adventure, that we said, it's going to be an adventure, or it was an adventure? How many have ever said that? Sure we have. And what does that mean? This was really going to be an exciting adventure. I can hardly wait because I'm excited and I'm hopeful and I'm wondering what's going to transpire. Or when you come back, you say, ay, what an adventure that one was. But look at the word adventure. What's the first part of it? Advent. So I wonder for you and me, can we take these days of Advent and make them into a spiritual adventure? We're longing, waiting, hoping, being grateful that God came among us as the child. And we're hopeful for that. We long for that. And to remember that he will come at the end of time. I would ask you perhaps to take this image home with you and use it if you can in these next few weeks. I would invite us to think about Advent as being a porch on a house. Now, a porch has its own purpose, does it not? But that's not where the goodness and the usefulness of the porch stops. The porch leads us into the house, does it not? So can we think of this wonderful season of Advent as the porch that leads us into the joy of Christmas? Keep the porch light on, please. I don't work for Holiday Inn or Motel 6 or whatever that thing was. They used to say keep the porch light on. I don't work for them. But in our spiritual lives, can we see these days of Advent while we're watching, waiting, longing, hoping to lead us into the great season of Christmas? In that time, when we do remember through our scriptures, our music, our prayer, that Christ was born for us, and he will come again. We enter into the season of Advent. Let us be truly prepared.